Welcome. In this playthrough of Marvel Champions the card game, I'll be using WASP for the first time, going up against Rhino. So down at the table, since it's my first time using her, I am using the pre-constructed deck, so no changes with that. For her card, Alter Ego, got a recovery of 3. Her girl ability is an action. Shuffle up to 2 cards with a printed mental resource from your discard pile into your deck. Hand size of 6, starts with 11 hit points. Her tiny hero form, Thwarter 1, attack 1, 2 defense. Her small but mighty ability, as a response after WASP or an event you play defeats a minion or side scheme, deal 1 damage to the villain. So hopefully that's something I can remember. Hand size of 5 on this side. And then in giant form, Thwarter 2, attack of 2, defense of 3. Then the additional abilities, threat you remove using your basic thwart power can be divided among schemes as you choose. And damage you deal using your basic attack power can be divided among enemies as you choose, in a hand size of 5. So I'm going with Rhino in standard form, so I'll be using versions 1 and 2. Starts with a scheme of 1, attack of 2, no special abilities, health of 14, and then moves up to a health of 15 with an attack of 3, and we'll be searching for the breaking and taking side scheme when we go to this one. So I did a poll with my YouTube members, and they chose me to go back old school for the villains. For the main scheme, just the 1 card. Like I said, Rhino 1 and 2 for the standard mode. Got the standard card sets here. Rhino cards. And then we're using the bomb scare, and we have our obligation ready. So we'll shuffle all those together. Flip this over. Got a threshold of 7 for this, so this game can either be done quickly in our favor, or it's going to be done quickly with the Rhino getting a scheme off. So we'll finish our setup here, shuffling the encounter stack. Got that good and shuffled. And then for Nadia, we'll take her hero deck, make sure it's good and shuffled. Then we're going to start with 6 cards. Oops. Try not to drop cards out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we've got Giant Help, a Wasp Sting, Swarm Tactics, Quinn Carrier, Lion Weight, and Spider-Man. So the Quinn Carrier giving us an extra resource seems like a keeper. Swarm Tactics, chances are we're not going to get Ant-Man, so I am going to discard that one. Lion Weight is kind of good, but I think we're just going to go for setup. So we'll keep the Quinn Carrier. Definitely don't need threat for the moment. We'll pitch those. Drawing 4 more. Powering all of us. Thor, Power of Aggression, and a surprise attack. And these will stay in our discard pile. So if you're new to the game, keeping the player reference is always a good thing. So we're going to start the turn. So we're going to take our turns in player order. So just 1 player. We can play our cards, trigger and request actions, use our basic attack, thwart, recovery powers, change your form, limit once per round unless a card does it for us, and then that doesn't count against it. End our turn. Then after finish your turn, discard any number of cards in our hand if we want to, draw up to our hand size, and ready each of our exhausted abilities. Then go on to the villain phase. So the first thing I'm going to do is use her ability, shuffle up to 2 cards with a printed mental resource from your discard pile into your deck. So some of these cards we pitched, we can possibly use again. So I'll take Wasp Sting and Giant Help with the mental resource. And shuffle those back into our deck. So we will go ahead and flip over to our hero form. And so we can decide between tiny and giant. And I think I'm going to go giant form. And go ahead and attack for 2. Of course, we can split that however we like because of our ability. But since we just have Rhino out, 2 damage on him. Then we're going to bring out the Quinn Carrier. Play only if we have the Avenger trait, which we do. We're an Avenger Giant. Powering all of us, one of the new cards. Double the number of resources this card generates when paying for a basic gray card. So it's going to give us 2 resources for that. So now to give us our 3rd. And we can exhaust that to generate a wild resource, because we want to bring in Thor. Cost of 4, Thor to 1, attack of 2, 4 health. After you play her from your hand, deal 2 damage to the villain, 3 damage instead if you paid for this card using a physical resource, which we will be. So here's the same thing, but for aggression cards. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So Thor's in play. We paid with a physical. So doing 3 damage down to 9. Then attacking for 2 down to 7. And she will take a damage for that. Then we'll go down here. Don't have any cards in hand. We can just discard any of those. Draw up to our hand size and then ready our exhausted cards. So we're getting 5 cards. Boot Camp, Wasp Sting, Lion Weight, another Boot Camp, and Rapid Growth. So then flipping over onto the villain phase, we put threat on the main scheme, so we're getting 1 per player. So 1 out of 7. Then the villain in each engaged minion activates 1 per player in order. So we're in hero form, just going to attack for base 2, possibly some more. We're just going to take it. So just 2 damage coming in at us. So from 11 to 9. Then we get dealt an encounter card. Then we'll reveal. So an encounter card. So hard to keep down. Rhino heals 4 damage. If no damage was healed this way, this card gains Surge. So going from 7 up to 11. Then if we're playing multiplayer, we pass the first player token. So we are going to flip to her tiny form. Then spend 2 resources for the Wasp Sting. If we're in tiny form as a hero action, deal 5 damage to an enemy. Down to 6. Then we're going to declare an attack. Then with Rapid Growth as a hero interrupt, when you use one of your hero's basic powers, which we're doing, we change to our giant hero form. So we're mid-attack. And we get +2 power for that use. And since this was brought on by the card, it doesn't count against our flipping. So 1, 2, so we're doing 4 damage. We can split it if we want. But Rhino's all by himself, taking him down to 2. And we paid for that with the Quinn Carrier. Then Thor's going to swing for 2, taking him down to 0. So they made quick work in standard mode here. So get rid of that. So he's coming back with 15 health. And when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the breaking and taking side scheme and reveal it. Shuffle the encounter deck. So found breaking and taken. When revealed, place an additional threat per player here, and that's going to deal us an extra encounter card. So it comes out with a base 2. So 3 threat. Shuffle the encounter stack. And we are done with our turn. I'll go ahead and keep that. So we'll be drawing 4 more cards. Pin Particles, Pinpoint Strike, Strength, and Into the Fray. And ready. So we get another threat. Rhino's going to attack. I am going to defend this time. So base 3 attack, 4, 5. So 2 breaks through. Then we're going to get 1 encounter card plus another one because of breaking and taking. So the first one, he's going to heal 4 damage. It's already at max health, so the card gains Surge. Now we've got a Bomb Scare. When revealed, place an additional threat per player here. So it's coming in with 3 on it. And our next one is a Stampede. Rhino attacks you. If a character is damaged by this attack, that character is stunned. Well, we're going to have Thor jump in front of this one. So base 3, 4 damage. Not only stunned, but knocked out. And then back to our turn. So we're going to play Line Weight, max 1 per player as a hero response. After a minion engages with you, discard Line Weight to deal 3 damage to that minion. Then after you spin this card, heal 2 damage from your hero if you're in giant form. If we were in tiny form, we'd be able to draw a card. So going up to 9 health. Then we're going to flip over to our tiny form to play Pinpoint Strike using Strength for 2 and the Quinn Carrier. Deal 7 damage to an enemy. If you're in tiny form, it deals 1 additional damage to an enemy and gains overkill. So we're doing 8 damage. Taking Rhino down to 7. I'm going to go ahead and keep that in hand just in case we do get a minion. Drawing 4 more. So Red Room Training, Wasp, a Surprise Attack, and Genius. So we're going to get 2 more threat, going from 2 to 4. Rhino's going to attack. We're just going to take it. So base 3, 3 damage coming in, so down to 6. Still getting 2 encounter cards, unfortunately. Armored Rhino suit, so attached to Rhino. Any amount of damage would be dealt to Rhino. Place it here instead. Then if there's at least 5 damage here, discard Armored Rhino suit. And then False Alarm. You are confused. If you're already confused, this card gains Surge. So that's going to prevent us from thwarting. So that means we're going to have to do at least 12 damage here. And this is why Rhino is so risky solo mode. Because we're having an issue dealing with that. So let me see here. We are going to attack for 1. And that's going to go on his suit. Then we're going to flip to giant form. Then as a response, we're going to use the Quinn Carrier for this. Using that as a wild, so that's going to be physical force. After you change form, deal 3 damage to an enemy. 4 damage instead if you paid for this card using a physical resource. So that'll take this up to 5 damage, so we can discard that. Then for 2, using Genius, bring in a Red Room Training. While you're in giant hero form, we gain Retaliate. If we're in tiny form, our basic attacks gain Piercing. Then we're going to bring in the other version of Wasp, Janet Van Dyne. So when she enters play, place a PIM counter on her for each energy resource you overpaid for her cost. So her cost is 0. We're going to spend 1 energy. So 1 health. And we're going to have to use her to defend more than likely. So ending her turn, drawing up Ant-Man, Power of Aggression, Biosynthetic Wings, Surprise Attack, and the Wasp Sting. All right, we're getting 2 threats, 6 out of 7. There's 2 cards in there that's just going to end this. First, Rhino's going to attack. Wasp. Yeah, we'll defend with our big Wasp since it has Retaliate. So base 3, 4, 5 damage. We're taking 2. Retaliate for 1, down to 6. Then we see what happens here. False Alarm. We're confused again. If we're already confused, which we are, gain Surge. All right, attach a Rhino. We can spend 3 physical resources to discard this card, giving him +1 attack. And then, now he's tough. Give Rhino a tough status card. If he already has a tough status card, this card gains Surge. So we made it to another turn. So we need to ping for at least 1, then do 6 damage. So Wasp, swinging for 3. Takes care of toughness. She only had 1 health. Then we are going to flip to our tiny form. Then surprise attack. After you change form, I'm going to use the Quinn Carrier as a physical resource to deal 4 damage to an enemy. Taking him down to 2. And to finish off, Wasp Sting, spinning 2 cards. So hero action, tiny form, deal 5 damage to an enemy. And that will be enough to take care of Rhino in standard form with the pre-constructed deck for Wasp. So straight out of the box, good enough to deal with Rhino, but super close. Let's see, where were the cards that was going to finish it? Advance. Fortunately, they were further down in the deck. So bonus round. Since Rhino's pretty quick to go through, I'll go ahead and step this up to expert. So we're going to start with this in play with breaking and taken. So that's going to start with 3 threat on it. And then he'll move up to Rhino 3, Schema 1, attack of 4, when revealed, stun each hero. But I'm going to make some minor changes to the deck. So that's the neat thing about this game. So I'm keeping most of the core set, or her base cards for her. Since Rhino doesn't have that many minions, or didn't see any last time, I am going to take out Into the Fray, even though I love this card. But just because of the limited amount of minions, probably not the best, but I'll probably regret that as soon as I take it out. Boot Camp, not a huge fan of this one unless I'm playing with someone else going crazy in leadership. So I'm going to take those 3 out, along with Wasp, because I really didn't have a ton of energy resources for building her, even though she is deadly, but that might be for a different construction of the deck. And I'm taking this one out because there is only one Ant-Man in there, but when I do a team up with the Ant-Man hero, definitely coming back in the deck. So I'm replacing those and keeping the deck at 40. Like I said, you can go up to 50. I'll just keep it at 40. Bringing in Nick Fury, all around good card in my opinion, plus Mental. Mockingbird, another great card, especially against having to stun an enemy just for playing it. Helicarrier to help us with resources. 2 skilled strikes to help us with our attack. Combat training, help with attack. Brawn, just to get us another ally to help with scheming possibly, and a good defense and counterattack. Since Rhino hits hard, we'll try to use that to our advantage. All right, so part 2 of our double feature with Rhino. Like I said, I'm just doing this because he is quick one way or the other. So I've got that shuffled up. Some minor adjustments in here. Like I said, just took out 8 cards and put in 8 others. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So strength, energy, Spider-Man, power in all of us, pinpoint strike, and combat training. Now think, even though this is going to deal 8 damage, I'm going to discard it just to see what I get. A lion weight. So start of our turn, use her ability to shuffle that back in. We're going to overpay for Spider-Man, so we've got 4 for that. After we play him from our hand, we're going to choose Thwart to give him +2 to that, so it'll be thwarting for 3. He'll come in to get rid of breaking and taking. We are then going to change to our giant form. Bring in some combat training, giving us +1 attack. And swing for 3, taking him down to 12. End our turn, I will discard, drawing up to 5. Skilled strike, rapid growth, another lion weight, pinpoint strike, and another rapid growth. So 1 threat on the main scheme, he goes to attack, we're just going to take it. So 3, 4 damage, down to 7. Counter card, false alarm, we are confused. And that's going to be a problem because we're definitely going to need to thwart this game, I'm Pretty sure. So we will thwart just to get rid of confused. Then we're going to flip to tiny form. Then a pinpoint strike, spending 3. Hero action, deal 7 damage to an enemy. If you're in tiny hero form, this attack deals 1 additional damage. And overkill, so we're doing 8. Taking him down to 4. And then Spider-Man swinging for 2. Going to end her turn. Going to keep this in hand, so drawing 4 more. Red Room Training, a Helicarrier, Ant-Man, and another Pinpoint Strike. So ready. Thread on the main scheme. He's going to attack. Spider-Man defends. So base 3, just 3 damage. Counter card, Hydra Mercenary. Now I'm wishing we had a Lion Weight. So he's got the guard ability, attack of 1, and 3 health. So I'd really love to play all these cards. But I think I need an ally in play. So we're going to spend 4 to bring in Ant-Man. 4 to 2, attack of 2. While we're in giant form, he gets +1 attack. While we're in tiny form, he gets +1 thwart. So he's going to thwart for 3, but we're just taking 2 off the main scheme. Then we're going to flip to giant form. And we're attacking for 3 to get rid of the mercenary. So that's it, drawing up to 5. Power of Aggression, Giant Help, Biosynthetic Wings, a Quinn Carrier, and Thor. 1 threat comes back. Rhino's going to attack, we're going to defend. So 3, we're going to take 1 damage down to 6. Counter card, Rhino attacks, the attack gains overkill. At the end of this attack, discard this, so it's +3 attack. So at least a base 6 with overkill next turn. That's a problem. So we are going to bring in Thor, Power of Aggression, and 2 other cards. So we can use that for physical. So when it comes into play, dealing 3 damage, only needs to deal 2 to take care of the first version here. So moving over here, comes in with toughness. We're going to stun each hero. 16 health, scheme of 1, and attack of 4. Yes, and the toughness. So attacking, get rid of tough. I'm going to thwart for 1. Because I'm going to flip back to alter ego and hope. We will use our ability. So I'm going to take a damage card and something to help us with threat. So 2 mental resources and shuffle those in. And that's going to end our turn. I will go ahead and keep Quinn Carrier, so drawing 5 more cards. So Skilled Strike, Giant Help, Ironheart, Wasp Sting, and the Power in All of Us. So for the villain, gets a threat. He's going to scheme for base 1, just 1. Still nervous. Counter card, that's the problem. The villain schemes for base 1. So 3 more. So we're up to 5. Let's see, did I have anything else? Another pinpoint strike. Yep, we'll use her ability to shuffle this back in. Then we're going to heal for 3. Go to giant form. So we are going to put in the Quinn Carrier with those as the 3 resources because we are an Avenger. Then we're going to spend 2 Skilled Strike with the Quinn Carrier. So we can remove 3 threat from a scheme, remove a total of 4, divide it among schemes as you choose if we're in giant form. So we get to remove 4 threat. Then I'm just keeping those guys for defense. I'll hold on to this card, drawing 4 more. Nick Fury, Lion Weight, Pim Particles, and a surprise attack. So we're ready. Add a threat on the main scheme. Rhino attacks, Thor defends. So base 7, 8 damage coming through with overkill. Soaks up 3. So 5 is coming through on us, so that hurt. So we're down to 4. And counter card is a gang up. The villain and each minion engaged with you attacks you. That's why I kept both of those. Ooh, at least that went away. So Ant-Man defends, 4, 5, 6 damage. Ant-Man is gone. And it's back to our turn. That is ready though. All right, so we're going to attack. Get rid of stun. I'm going to play Nick Fury with these 3 and the Quinn Carrier. Resolve in a bit first. Since we're in giant form, we get to heal 2 damage. So up to 6. Nick, we can choose to remove 2 threat from a scheme, draw 3 cards, or deal 4 damage. We're going to go for the 3 cards. So Brawn, Pinpoint Strike, and a surprise attack. And my decisions. Flip to tiny form and do 8 damage, or give me some backup with Brawn. And I'm going for allies for backup because I don't trust Rhino. So bringing him in for 3. So after he attacks, remove a threat from a scheme. So he will come in and attack. Down to 15. Remove a threat. Nick will swing for 2. Down to 13. Get their damage on them. And I'm just going to stay in that form. So 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Got her helmet, a sting, her strike, counterattack, and a surprise attack. So threat on the main scheme. He's going to attack. Nick Fury's defending. So 4 damage. That's nice to see go away. So that's both of those, I believe. Yep. Breathe a little bit easier. And counter card, false alarm, we're confused. And with that, we'll have Brawn attack. Down to 12, removes a threat. We are going to flip to tiny form. Then surprise attack is a hero response. After you change form, deal 3 damage to an enemy, 4 if we paid with a physical. We're using the Quinn Carrier as a wild for 4 damage. Down to 8 health. We will thwart for 1 because I haven't used her ability. So let me make sure that works right. Oh, side scheme. Nope. We'll at least take that off so I can feel good about myself. Then pinpoint strike. Paying 3. Deal 7 damage to an enemy. If you're in tiny hero form, attack deals 1 additional damage for 8. And that's exactly what we need to take down Rhino. So a few minor changes to the deck, but not many, just 8 cards. And she was able to take out Rhino in expert mode. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. So please click on the like button below and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.